Our purpose at WE is to change the dismal statistics of our people, particularly Māori and Pacifica people. We do this through helping small and medium-sized businesses to thrive. Our businesses need our help. So many have felt the pressures of lockdown and are facing challenges that they've never faced before. Challenges that are impacting their livelihoods. That is why we're bringing you this series to share stories of the people behind our businesses, their successes, their failures, their challenges, and their triumphs.
If you are already in business, we hope you will be inspired. Perhaps someone will share one piece of gold that makes a difference in your business. If you've been thinking about starting a business, we hope that you will be motivated to start your own business venture.
We hope that by sharing these stories, we can help small businesses on the road to recovery all across New Zealand, Australia, and the Pacific.
So grab your cup of tea and whakarongo mai.
Kia ora te whanau, no mai, haere mai. Welcome again to another cup of tea. I've got to say, every time I watch that video, I see my husband and it just makes me smile. So I just wanted to share that with you today. Anyway, tonight we have with us Pita Pirihi from Patu Media joining us for a cup of tea. So welcome, Pita. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Tēnā koe, tēnā koe. Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, it's good to have you here. So look, introduce yourself. Who are you? Where are you from?
Ka pai. Tihei wa Mariora. Ko mana i te maunga ko te renga prau o te moana. Ko wakato te awa. Ko nā toki mata whaurua me te nuirangi me tainui nā waka. Ko takehiwa i te whenua. Ko takehiwa i te me kai tumitumu me papa rotu te marae. Ko rangiora me kai tumitumu ne tupuna whare. Ko patu harake ki te hapu. Ko nā pui nui tōnu me tainui te iwi. Ko te kai whakahaere. I taku mahi. Ko te Patu Media me te Nesian Network, ko taku mahi, ko Pita Pirihi tōku ingoa. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Korero i aina i te Pākehā, kia ora.
Kia ora. Awesome. I really love it when our people use their language, and I think we need to normalise it more. And it's just like when we're watching the rugby and, you know, they're getting interviewed and they're using the reo, and I just think, you know, that's so good for our rangatahi to see too, that, you know, the language is valued and that it's not dead, it is very much alive. So thank you so much for sharing.
Kia ora, Ewa. Kia ora.
No, that's right. I should not have forgotten. In fact, on my notes, it does say that you're also one of the co-founders for Nesian Network.
Yes, one of four actually. There's four of us: Stanley Henry at Attention Seeker, India Beckman Flay at Rautaki Collective, and also Kristen Harper at Harper Consultancy.
And that's good. And we've got Stanley on in a couple of days, actually. I think we've got him on Thursday, so we'll get to have a korero with him too, which should be awesome. So let's talk about who you were before you went into business, because you've got quite a large background, spent a lot of time in media. So tell us a little bit about who you were before you decided that business was your thing.
Hey, you know that auntie from with all the jobs on the movie Boy?
Yes.
That's me.
You.
Yeah, that's me, but I was the matua instead of the fire, you know what I mean? So, but actually, to be honest with you, that's partly true. But primarily before that, and before I went into Pākehā with my own business here, I was employed at Whakaata Māori Television. And I was employed as an advertising executive. So I was primarily in a role where we were responsible for obviously bringing on sales, bringing on new clients, and also liaising with the big media agencies that I'm currently not necessarily. I wouldn't say that I'm actually competing against them, because I'm actually rolling in my own lane. But that's primarily what I do right now. So the partner solutions team consisted of the marketing team as well as us, and I really enjoyed my time there. I have to admit, I really enjoyed working for a Māori media network that was primarily made for Māori, but not only Māori, also Pākehā and all the other cultures that we have here in Aotearoa. But regardless of the internal politics that goes on in a Māori organisation, as you know, it was a really awesome learning curve for me, because it was probably one of the last platforms or last networks that I needed to tick off the bucket list in regards to my media haerenga journey.
So what made you go into business in the first place? So you've got this great job at Māori TV. What makes you decide, I gotta go this alone?
You know what? It's hard looking back on it now. It was a combination of two things, to be honest with you, Wendy. It was time for me personally at that time when I first decided to actually go out alone. But then obviously the dreaded word that probably everyone experiences at some stage in their life, restructure, happened. And lo and behold, they both came to fruition for me at the end of 2018. So when I realized what my fate was, I pretty much just thought to myself, okay, here we go. I put the whira mai hara, which is obviously the wheels in motion, and then I sorted out every other single opportunity that I could, especially from an assistance perspective. So as much as I possibly could do to try and get me started and get my business running to a certain point, you know what I mean? And then from there, because I've always wanted to go out on my own. I always had a goal in regard to going into business for myself at some stage in my life, and I always thought it would have to do with, or maybe it could do with sports. To be upfront and honest with you, get this. So when I was young, I was whāngai by my nanny, right, from birth until she passed away. So she was pretty much the be all and end all for me. And I always used to say to her, I said, "Hey nanny, you know what? I'm going to be the first tall all Kiwi bloke." And she used to laugh and she used to go, "Oh, okay, Moko, yeah, okay, all right, that's what you want to do, that's then obviously, follow your goals and so forth, follow your dreams." But I have to say that two of them came to fruition, first and foremost, tall being one of them and black being the other. So, 50-50, well, I'll take those on.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So that's basically my grounding, ihoa. It was primarily when I was back home in a small settlement called Takahiwai, which is about 30 kilometres outside of Whangarei. And back in those days, there wasn't necessarily any opportunities or a huge opportunity to venture out into other fields. Like, you're either going to go and work at the oil refinery, which is pretty much, 5K down the road, or gang life. So I chose the other, and decided that I wanted to work in the media game, actually the film business, first and foremost, straight off the bat.
That's cool. So what was it like? What were some of the things that you learned from your time at Māori TV that you took into your business?
The opportunity, because I always wanted to deal with, I wanted to work at an advertising agency at some stage of my life, but obviously that didn't come to fruition. So I created one. But I wanted to know the understandings in regards to how it works, primarily from a client perspective, creating content for that particular client, and then promoting them through certain platforms or networks, such as your MediaWorks, Māori TVs, NZMEs, your TVNZs, and so forth. From a television, print, and also digital perspective as well. So I wanted to understand that whole process. Once I started to understand that process, then when it came to push, I suppose, I then decided I've got enough tools to be able to actually go out there and start my own business. Don't get me wrong, man, I was like freaking out. But it was an opportunity where I thought, okay, if it's not going to be now, then I'll never be able to do it. So 2018 came around. I think I finished on the Friday, and then I went straight into creating my business Saturday, Sunday. Then I got in contact with certain individuals within the self-employment sector, especially for Māori. So I seeked out as many people as I possibly could to see if I could get some kind of assistance. And there were certain roadblocks in my way. I wasn't meeting certain criteria and so forth. So I went out and tried to do the best I possibly can with the short period of time that I had. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. And so what was, so you've just said that you went into business and you went out and you tried and you seeked individuals. What were some of the other things that you did in that transition across, like in the first stages of business? What were some of the key things that you did first?
Right. So I decided to enroll in a kaupapa called the what's it called? The business school.
Oh yeah.
The business school with Hemi and a few other people that were involved in it. So I did that for a full-on 2-week time frame. I think it was 2 weeks. So they gave you an opportunity to build a business plan, build a website, and also sell your business and promote your business as best you possibly can within that certain time frame, right? In 2 weeks. So that was the initial time frame and process that I had to go through to get myself started. After those 2 weeks, I was pretty much on my own. So as soon as those 2 weeks were up, I pretty much got in contact with everyone and anyone that I could actually that I had access to, or that I was allowed to have access to. Council, ATEED, you name it, Te Puni Kōkiri, and businesses such as that, to see what I was entitled to be able to actually start a business from the ground up.
Mm. Was there anyone in particular that you found was more helpful, or like you really got really good resource out of, that really helped you to go to that next level, or just really prepared you for business?
No. I actually, to be honest, no, there was, but this particular individual was one of my mentors, and he's been a mentor of mine since my radio days at MyFM. So I started making at MyFM in 2002. So I was pretty much doing the same thing that I was doing at Māori television, but in radio. So he was my sales manager there, and I'm trying my hardest not to actually call him out because he's do it. Yeah, okay, I will. His name is Anthony Matson. So he was actually one of my, and I still call him Anthony the Mentor Matson to me, because he understood what it takes to obviously start up an agency. He's just actually started a new agency as we speak, to be honest. But he understood the logistical side and what it took to actually start a business from the ground up, especially in my industry. So I leaned on him for quite a bit of time after I'd left MyFM. But other than that, anyone else that I came across, and I'm not going to say any organizations, but it kind of didn't come to fruition. I was going to these networking events and so forth, and it just wasn't fruitful. Nothing came to fruition for me. So I had to obviously pivot and do something else, and then just work my way through there. Just obviously align myself with certain individuals, align myself with certain organizations. I asked every single question out there to try and see what would be the best avenue or best route for me to obviously try and grow my business. And I'm still growing at the moment. I'm still growing. I mean, at the end of the day, I started in February. I went live February 2019. And there's ups and downs, but I'm still here. So, and I think that's come down to aligning myself with really good other entrepreneurs, Māori and Pacifica, that I've been able to garner as much advice and mātauranga their knowledge as best I can. So there's never been an opportunity where I haven't been able to garner as much mātauranga as I can to obviously help me.
Well, I can tell you that Raymond says, "By fire, bro. Best way to learn."
Oh,
Which is so true, right?
And he'd know that. I mean, you know, he's another one that I shouldn't actually be probably calling out, but he's another Māori that, you know, it's just him and I are primarily the only Māori that I know that are in this particular industry, in our space, that operate in our space. There are other Māori businesses that operate in this particular industry, but not many in Auckland, to be fair. Majority of them are around, obviously, the motu, but yeah, he would know as much as, it was actually more so than I would. I mean, Run have been in the industry for a very long time, but it's blood, sweat, and tears to get where they have, and they're enjoying the insurmountable success that they're currently enjoying at this point in time, and that's down to hard mahi. I mean, I love the fact in regards to aligning myself with them as well as them with me. We've been able to work on a project together, and I hope that continues. I know it will.
Yeah, that's cool. And I think you're so right there about the blood, sweat, and tears. And sometimes in the beginning of business, there's a lot of tears and a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of, am I doing the right thing here? But, you know,
also,
persistence.
Yeah, you're right.
Just take some persistence and some resilience and a passion and an understanding that you are making a difference, and that you are meant to be here. And, you know, kia ora to you guys, you and to Ray and to Laura, for being one of the only Māori, you know, 3 of the only Māori in this space, because we obviously really need you. So there's definitely a need.
Because we go to these network events, right? And you kind of levitate to the individuals that are currently that roll in your circles, right? And then there's obviously, you know, yourself, and then there's obviously, you know, people like Ray, and then my friend Timu. Man, I always said to myself that I wasn't going to actually call any names, and I've called out about 12 things. But, you know, you go to these network events and you try to levitate, but you try and work the room as much as you possibly can as well. So, but I haven't seen anyone else other than Ray's cousin, Johnson. He works in the same industry as well, at B-Fly. Yes, at B-Fly. But other than that, there's not a hell of a lot. So yeah, I feel lucky, but there's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
That's cool. Can I just say that to those people that you have called out, I apologize in advance if you get numerous phone calls and emails from other entrepreneurs who also want to use your expertise and knowledge, because this guy decided to call you out tonight.
That's right. And also on top of that, I'll take my commission as soon as those people come through and ring you guys, okay?
So look, we've talked about some of the challenges that you've faced in business. Are there any other challenges that you want to talk about, and how you've overcome those challenges?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest thing for me with regards to business is the fear is the biggest thing. And I spoke about it today in my post promoting this particular kōrero with you, and the vulnerabilities that, you know, certain individuals have but don't necessarily want to expose. So the fear of the unknown and the fear of failure was huge for me, especially when I stepped into this realm and stepped into this particular this doing this type of mahi. I have 2 sons who I love very much. They're pretty much my world, and I not only do this for me, I also do this for them as well, because don't get me wrong, I don't want to paint a pretty picture here, and this is my vulnerability coming to light, and I was alluding to it, like I said in my post today. But last year I had a massive shift in my thought process, and last year I got stuck in China. I got stuck in Beijing in China, right? So I went across to China, and I was supposed to go up to Japan, and prior to going over there, I actually hustled my way into Hawaii Brothers Film Studios. Now, this is a massive deal. Like, don't get me wrong, it's massive for me, because you've got a Māori boy who's hustled himself into going and spending a day with one of China's largest film production houses. Now, they don't necessarily allow you the opportunity to actually go and, let alone knock on their door, get through their gates. But last year, I'm sitting in their foyer, and I wasn't allowed to take any footage or anything like that because they were actually really, really quite stringent about that. And I'm sitting in their foyer, and I'm really elated about where I'm at, but I'm also scared as well because I'm stuck here because of the fact that all my life got stolen from me whilst I was over there. So I was going through the whole process of actually, trying to get the New Zealand Embassy to try and help me out. Lucky I had travel insurance, and that saved my life. But I was figuring out, okay, where do we go from here? You're in a massive production house, about to see how a Chinese production house actually makes content, yet you're second guessing yourself because you're not sure whether you're going to be you're going to rack up so much bills, and you don't know whether you're going to get out of the country or when you're going to be going home. So I came to a point where I was like, man, I think I'm actually going to go back to a 9 to 5. I really seriously considered it when I got back to New Zealand, and Ray can actually attest to this. I actually rang him because I needed someone in New Zealand to verify who I was, and I'm sitting at the New Zealand Embassy in China, in Beijing, right? And he came through for me, right? He said, yeah, absolutely, I can actually verify who he is, and he had to send his passport and all that kind of stuff. So at certain times and certain things that happen in your life that you kind of think to yourself, man, you're over here and you're here on a /holiday/business trip, but you're thinking about cutting that off and then going back to a 9 to 5 because you're not quite sure whether you're in the right mindset to be able to continue once you get back to New Zealand. And I really seriously thought about it, about actually just cutting my losses and then just going back to a 9 to 5 and see if I can actually restart there again because I was in a bit of a situation when I was over there.
What a scary ass situation to be in.
It was.
And you're trying to absorb everything as a business owner and just like take it all in, but then in the back of your mind you're just like, actually I need to think about how I'm going to get home.
Yeah, it was, man. It was like, and it wasn't until I realized that, hang on, what's my travel insurance policy? What did I have? And thank God, I was able to survive because they covered everything. Obviously, I had to pay for everything, but they covered everything. So yeah, I went 5-star throughout the whole time that I was over there. I went 5-star hotels, man. I did the whole 9, man. I was like, because I knew for a fact, I was like, are you guys sure? He goes, yep, we've covered you up to this amount. And I was going, oh my God. All right. I can't feel down in the dumps then, so I might as well spend some cash. So I did, and they were really great about it when I got back Southern Cross. So big ups to Southern Cross. Love you guys.
And again, don't sue me because he was here saying all of this on our show.
I know. Oh, that is what it is. Like I said, I think that I was going to be as vulnerable as I possibly could, right? Oh my goodness.
And go get travel insurance if you travel overseas.
Yeah, go get travel insurance.
No, what I also loved in what you said is that, like, we call our team and our community our WE whānau, right? Our WE community. And it's like, you go into business, you create these relationships and you create a brotherhood or a sisterhood or this whānau. And it's really cool to hear that, Ray came in and saved you like a brother does. And that's what our business circles are like, and how awesome to be part of that.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, there was quite a few people that I rang who were well anonymous at the time. So, but he was the only one that picked up at the time. So, yeah.
Name and shame. Go.
I owe that brother a few dumplings. That's what I owe him. few noodle soups.
Oh no, that's really now. Why did you guys start Nesian Network? Well, I'm assuming that some of that's got to do with some of the trials and tribulations you went through in business, and networking and collaboration. So, what is the Nesian Network all about?
The reason why we started it is because of the fact that we wanted to combine both Māori and Pacifica businesses and bring them together. Right, yeah. That's primarily where we sat. The biggest thing for us is that there were Māori networks, and then there were also Pacifica networks. And I was wondering, and myself, and also the other co-founders were all thinking the same thing. Why can't we do business together? Well, we're here. We all have businesses. Why can't we connect and collaborate together to build and grow our businesses? So that was basically primarily at the end of the day. I mean, don't get me wrong. We also offer our services as well amongst our services amongst all the businesses that we've been able to connect with. But it's primarily about us connecting and collaborating, like you said, but not us, the Samoan or the Tongan or Fijian businesses being over here and Māori businesses being over here and just them operating in their own networks. What we wanted to do is that we wanted to do something different and actually bring them both together so we can actually do business together pretty much, and connect that way. And it was a good starting point when we obviously started off in the first lockdown. And it was an opportunity for us to see where we were at and also bring all together and do a lot of Zooey and Zooms and so forth, and bring some high level speakers on board and that type of stuff. But it was basically to obviously bring us together as one, because I think that I've actually got more island friends than I have Māori friends, to be fair, Wendy. I've lived there.
I used to think I was Samoan.
I know. I'm like, wow, I'm sure I've actually got more Samoan and Tongan friends than I do Māori. And it's true. Well, it's true. So I thought to myself, hey, why not? And then along with our other three co-founders as well. So I'm very blessed to be able to actually align with those three. All three of them, as well as myself, we all bring something different to the table, right? In our own different mahi. So I think that's the reason why we blended together and we came together and we've done some pretty good events. But obviously now it's an opportunity for us to actually grow that and see where we go, because we just want to get rid of 2020 and just start fresh, man. It's along with everyone else, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do. But I think that's really cool. Like, with Ali being Samoan and me being Māori, we've always wondered why Māori and Pacifica people couldn't do business together, and it seemed to be so in silos. And but there's so much that we can be doing together. So I think it's a really awesome thing that you've done. Ali and I considered it, and we're like, we're too busy for that. So I'm glad that you guys have done that, because it was much needed. Much needed.
You guys are busy, though. You guys have been doing. Hey, I mean, I know last night you talked about niche, right? Niche business and so forth, right? And I thought to myself, man, I wonder if she asked that question to me, but I'm going to actually get bang that out right here, right
cool.
now. And
let's do it.
That's actually my identity. So regardless if it's a niche genre of clientele or targeted audience, I feel that it's culture. That's my culture. And if I can assist Māori business and Pacifica business grow, whether that's exponentially or from whatever angle, then I'm more than welcome to obviously try and assist as best I possibly can.
There are so many businesses like yours, like mine, like Laura, who I've had on the show, like Ray's, and so many of the people that I've interviewed actually over the last 5 weeks, right, who are just out to help Māori and Pacifica people, Māori and Pacifica businesses to be successful. And I think that if we can start using the services of our Māori and Pacifica people instead of going down the road to somebody else because we don't trust them or we want our own people to pay less. Like, I just think how much better would we be if we actually really backed and supported? Because if we look at Indian business owners, or Chinese business owners, I mean, they use each other. It's like, why don't we do that? Why don't we do that as Māori and Pacifica people? You weren't expecting that question tonight.
Yeah. This part I actually got thrown at me a couple of weeks ago, and unfortunately, this person actually answered it with, in all honesty, with as much honesty and aroha as they could. But as far as they were concerned, is that as long as the job can get done, and then there's that tentative uneasiness, right, of whether that particular Māori business are able to get that particular mahi done within a certain period of time, and do I trust them? So I suppose it's all about promoting your business as best you possibly can, earning that trust amongst your peers, and then being able to come up with solutions and a competitive pricing range. Because obviously at the end of the day, us Māori and Pacifica people, man, we're all about if it's not, we don't know you, then it could then come down to price. And if it's not price, then you need to have a point of difference to be able to actually get my business. So, yeah, it's a tough one. You're right about the Chinese and Indians. They all do business amongst each other. And I would love that to be us as well, Pacifica and also Māori, to be able to obviously collaborate and connect and support each other, or to talk with each other's paki.
Yeah, I agree too. But you're right, though. I mean, you do have to build the trust. You've got to be able to do the work, because I know that we've gone out to organizations too and been like, we really want to support you, but you can't actually do what we really need you to do. So, we've had to look elsewhere, which is hard. But, Yeah. Hello, so we're about to wrap up, but is there something that you want to leave our listeners with today, like a lesson that you've learned, something that you want to share to finish off for the night?
Perseverance is the key, especially when you're in business, especially if you're a Māoripreneur, you're getting into business, and you want to go down that path and go down that haidinga. Perseverance is definitely it. A really strong character, because you're going to be tested all the time. You might get one step ahead, and then you get blown back 10 steps further back. So a strong character, and a really supportive network of people. And if that means that you have to go out of your comfort zone and build or join a network that you feel that you need to be able to grow your businesses, your pakihi, then do it, because there's a whole heap of support out there. You'll then come up against people, or not come up against people, you'll then come and meet people in a certain environment that, hey man, they're going through the same struggles, they're going through the same hustle and grind as you are. So it's definitely not for the faint-hearted. It's probably one of the hardest things that you probably ever want to do. And it's the constant mahi behind the scenes that you're currently dealing with. You obviously the stuff that you have to do from a social perspective, posting, creating content, and then once you obviously start, creating some kind of momentum, then obviously you can pay people to do that if you're not going to be doing it. So perseverance, strong character, strong mindset, and a supportive network is primarily the keys. To me anyway.
And I think what's really good about what you've said is that, from what I know about Māori and Pacifica people, perseverance is in our DNA. Like, we've been resilient, we've persevered, we've overcome adversity and diversity. So we've definitely got it in us. But it's just got to start Just got to hold on strong to that, and like I said, make some good connections, have that strong character. Really good advice.
Kia ora.
Thanks, Peter. That's
I'm
right.
here to
Thank you. Thank you for being here this evening and for sharing your wisdom and your advice. It's much appreciated. And your reo. Thank you.
I do
Kia
try.
ora.
I'm not fluent, but I'm trying. I want to be. I am.
Me too. We'll have to have more kōrero together.
Bye-bye. Kia ora.
All right, whānau. So that's us this evening. But tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, we're here with John Llewell. So he is from PolyX. He's the chair of the Samoa Business Network, and he also has a consulting company, N5 Consulting. So we will be with him this evening. Just remember, we're only Monday to Thursday because I've decided that Fridays are going to be my day off. So Monday to Thursday at 8 p.m. We'll see you tomorrow night. See you then, and thank you again, Peter, so much for your kōrero this evening.
Kia ora. Ka kite.
Patu a whānau.